Ammar, finally, we have got some cars back on track after what seems like an endless winter. No more F175, no more livery launches. The real deal on the track, Bahrain. How was it for you? Were you watching?
It was quite amazing. It was quite amazing. I had this big pot of caffeine just injected into my veins to make sure I go through what was, I don't know, can't remember exactly how long it was because there was an outage there in between too, but whatever. It was a lot of fun. I am so glad that we are back and we are talking about track action and there's no more ludicrous talk about booing and being and whatever else there is. Like it was just so nice and refreshing to see cars on the track. So nice to see them go. So nice to see a couple of them spin around. So nice to see Lewis in the Ferrari. There's so many great things. I mean, this is, there is nothing more promising, Shez, than that first day of testing because it is filled with hope. It is filled with sometimes lights. It is filled with many different awesome things that represent what a season could
Ammar,
be.
Ammar, I've
Even
had
if
a
you're,
I've had a problem, man. I've had a problem.
oh
I've
no,
had a
look at
I've
that.
had a power outage. Oh
What is
no!
going on? Oh no, stop everything,
I'll
guys.
stop.
Stop
Okay,
everything. We gotta fix this.
okay. We're having some real technical difficulties. I
All
should go
right,
and find a generator. Do we have a
just
generator?
go find. Are you load shedding today?
No, I think someone must have forgotten to pay the bills. We're just gonna have to
Oh
stop.
no.
Oh,
Well,
oh no. Oh no,
well,
wait.
please help us pay
Oh,
our bills.
oh,
Oh, yes, there you go. Help us pay our bills
oh,
so we can keep the lights on,
oh,
literally.
oh my God! The lights are back. They're back. We can carry
Wow.
on. We can carry on testing, or at least talking about it.
And Chaz, this is why I live close to Hollywood. There you go.
Oh really? You just have the sign outside your window, like
I
constantly
mean, this
shining at
is,
you.
yeah, this is like, top tier work. Like Netflix, come get us.
Yes, yes, yeah. Check it out.
What did you think of testing besides the lights going out? How did you feel?
Well, there are a couple of things I picked up on. So first of all, Red Bull came out with their car, didn't they? Which looked suspiciously like the 2024 car. In fact, there's been a few different fairly well-known people that have done back-to-backs of the Abu Dhabi car and the 2025 car and shown that the only difference between the 24 car and the 25 car was Liam Lawson. So what is going on at Red Bull, Amara? Why does the car look the same? Have they basically just run out of budget and this is what they're doing?
I think there might be, where they say there's smoke, there's fire, right? And Christian Horner alluded to the fact that the Flexi Wings saga that will never go away might have reared its head a little bit ugly because I did see a few shots, Shaz, of the Red Bull's front wing being a lot bendy, if that's evidently not allowed post Spain. So I'm wondering, and this is just me thinking out loud, I'm wondering if Red Bull decided not to show all its cards because they might evidently have to go back and change a few things. That said, 100% shocking to see the Red Bull car be the same as last year. So my guess is they are working on trying to improve the concept as quickly as they can based on what they've done last year. It did seem towards the end of the year that they had kind of figured out some of the issues that they were having towards the, what do you want to call it, the middle of the end of the season where Max was struggling a little bit. So it does seem like they are putting their eggs in that basket and sort of moving forward. Shez, it's also not fully surprising to see that Red Bull would not change a lot of their car because they've had a lot of success in this rule set and we're towards the end of this rule set, such that it may be. So, and of course, they don't have your guy, Adrian Newey, in there to change anything drastically either. So
Well, he
I
didn't
would say
change anything
surprised but
last
not
year
shocked.
either, did he? Like
That's
it
true.
was all Pierre
Well, evidently he was
Vacher
leaving
who
though.
decided to change everything at the last minute. And listen, I agree with you. I think Red Bull have taken iterative to a whole new level. There is literally no change there at all.
Not
But
even the color.
you're right. So, this is a little video that those nice folk race fans put up on Twitter of Liam Lawson heading into turn one at Bahrain. You can see as he slows down for the corner, the front wing pops up. And if you were to watch our video from earlier on this week, I had a little conversation essentially with myself about what that's going to mean, given that these wings are going to be banned from Spain. Now, I guess, Amara, the question that I've got is, look, that change was only ratified this week at the F1 Commission and only really discussed as a possibility a few weeks before that. So there must have been something going on at Milton Keynes where they thought, well, we have to hedge our bets one way or the other, and let's design a flexible front wing, because the alternative is that they don't, and they just let McLaren and Mercedes run away with it for the first 9 races, and we have a situation like we did last season in reverse, where Red Bull had the advantage for the first 7 or 8 races, and they essentially won the title off the back of that. I guess the team just can't afford to throw away performance at any point in the season. So are we thinking that perhaps this is the card that we're going to see in Melbourne, but actually we're going to have a massive upgrade, where Red Bull used their extra CTR, extra wind tunnel and CFD time, to have a massive upgrade in Spain, and that's where we're going to see what the bulk of the 2025 Red Bull is going to look like.
Yeah, I have to imagine that to be the case, Shez, and whatever the math that they've done behind the scenes as far as timing of all of these elements, let's keep in mind that the pressure on Red Bull is probably the highest amongst all of the teams, because they are the ones with the guy running for a 5th consecutive championship. And they know, as well as any of us, that there is little to no room for error. So any advantage that they can get while the rule set sort of takes effect, or the directive in this case, I should say, takes effect, they have to gamble that away, because they have nothing else to do. And whatever advantage Max can get, I mean, Spain is what, 5, 6 races into the
Nine,
season?
it's race 9.
9 races into the season. That's a long time.
Mm.
So I don't think that they would want to have, excuse me, Max fall back tremendously from whoever the competitor is at that point, or maybe the set of competitors are at that point. So even if this means that they're going to have a wing that can only last for 9 races, so be it. They have to give Max every advantage they can. So I'm not fully surprised that sort of happened. And so coming back to, again, the car looks eerily similar, but I have to imagine that they believe that they have foundationally the car that they believe they can compete with in Max. And then the hope would be that Liam would be able to pick up the scraps behind him. And whether that'll happen or not is a different thing. But look, if Liam can be at least competitive enough to impede a Lando Norris or a Charles Leclerc or Piastri, or let's say Hamilton, if he gets in the mix, that's all they're really looking for too. So
yeah, I don't know about that,
might
Ammar. I think the only person that actually had a proper spin in all of testing this morning was Liam Lawson, and Max is looking fairly potent in that car. So I'm still all in that Max Verstappen is going to be winning the title at the end of this season, but. Yeah, I mean, there's clearly a lot of stuff that's going on underneath the car that isn't there in static shots, i.e. that front wing, i.e. the rear diffuser, which wasn't particularly well pictured. So underfloor stuff, maybe that's where all the development work has gone in, and they've understood that certainly at the end of this regulation set, that actually being fully iterative and just developing the stuff that you already know works. And just adding the bits that other people have shown works is the way forward. Just add the bits that you know work. Right. The other team that I thought would be worth just a quick chat about were Ferrari, because Ferrari seemed to be fast. Leclerc was pretty rapid. He finished sort of, what was it, second or third in fourth,
yeah.
was it? But not a million miles away. But Ferrari seem to be outliers. Alex Brundle brought this up in comms, that Ferrari actually are outliers on a lot of different things, especially from a mechanical setup point of view, right? So we talked a little bit about their switch to a pull rod front suspension. Only really Red Bull and V-Carb are going down that route. Mercedes is stuck with a push rod, and certainly from a rear suspension point of view as well, they've stuck with a pull rod, where their main competitors have gone with a push rod suspension. The other big thing is that they haven't done a big anti-dive setup at the front of the car either. So actually, again, if you go back to our pictures of the front suspension on the 2010 Ferrari and see how flat that is versus what the what the Mercedes W15 looked like last year, actually Ferrari have stuck much closer to a car that allows it to still dive. It doesn't have that anti-dive. And they're trading off a bit of feel, a bit of drivability, I think, in that car. Because one of the main things that they talked about in developing their car last year was that they wanted it to be more drivable. And when they said drivable, and I thought about Max basically being able to drive whatever he's given, even if he doesn't quite get the feel out of it because it doesn't dive and it doesn't squat. He doesn't get those sensations. He just has to trust that the car is going to stick and go around a corner. I thought of Nigel Mansell in 1992. So they had, the FW14B, another Adrian Newey masterpiece, basically had active ride on it that kept the suspension level all the time, eerily similar to how Red Bull have gained performance in this rule set, and it required the driver, Nigel Mansell in 1992, Max Verstappen from 2022 onwards, to kind of trust that the car was just going to do its thing, and continue to essentially drive around the lack of feel that they're getting. But we know that Lewis, certainly, that didn't help him. That, as Alex Brundle described in a tweet to us, that when the energy is dissipated, it has to go somewhere. And if it's diving, it will go to the suspension. If it's not diving, it will probably just go to the tyres. And somebody like Lewis brakes late and is already putting a huge amount of energy into those tyres. So to take that out of the equation, to allow the car to dive a bit more under braking, giving him a bit more feel, putting a bit less energy into the front tyres, might be something that's beneficial. And it's something that Charles Leclerc has already been benefiting from for the past 2 or 3 seasons. And we know that despite the fact that they don't have huge anti-dive on the front of the car, actually they're still getting pace. So perhaps that is just a different way of doing it that's just as effective. They're not bouncing, are they? So they've got rid of that. Perhaps this is just the way that they're going to get pace, and it gives me a bit of hope that it isn't just the Red Bull way or nothing. There are other ways to set up your mechanical platform to allow your drivers to get the most out of the car. I know it's a bit of a rant, but
I appreciate you saying that. In looking at F1 TV's analysis on this too, right? I mean, they sort of tab this as Ferrari is taking the biggest roll of the dice, if you will. But I would argue that based on what you said, the concept has worked very well for Red Bull and Max. So I think you're right. This all kind of comes back to, will the 2 Ferrari drivers be able to trust the car, as you say, and sort of, I don't know if ignore is the right word, or just not look for the feel, so to speak, right? And I think the biggest change for this is on Lewis Hamilton in some ways, right? Because as you've explained time and time again, he likes a certain way of driving that doesn't necessarily mesh with this. So I don't know, maybe new team, new year, there could be a new approach to things, and maybe he is more open to doing things with Ferrari that perhaps might have been difficult to do in a system that he has helped master for 7-8+ years. So this is why I think the first day of testing for me was very fascinating, because I was watching a lot of the onboards of Lewis in particular, and I could see that there were some struggles there. There were minor struggles. I mean, I don't think you could actually even tell just watching it. But
I thought it was quite a lot of struggles.
There were struggles there.
So F1 put his fastest lap on their channel. I have to say, that's the closest I got to really watching what he was doing. Like in turn 8, he was so wide. He completely missed the apex.
Yeah, he completely missed it a couple times actually. Yeah.
And you could feel like how tentative he was getting back on the throttle through quite a few of the corners. So, but yes, I mean we're going to take time. Yeah, and we're going to talk a bit more about Lewis and Charles in the coming weeks. So I don't want to go into it too much just now, but. I think Charles was a bit more representative, and it'll be interesting to see how the Ferrari develops in terms of its pace compared to the McLaren and the Red Bull over the course of the week. Right, I think we should probably leave it there for the time being. We'll have more bits and pieces to come over the week. Certainly some predictions, which I know everyone's looking forward to. Let us know what you thought of testing. Was there anything that you noticed that we haven't? Probably quite a lot. As usual, please like, please subscribe. Please leave us a comment. We'll read every single one, and we will reply to as many as we possibly can. We're going to have some fun 1,000 subscriber nonsense to come in the over the weekend. Stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we will see you guys in the next one.
Later.